Hello, this is FoodOffensive.com's weekly Fukushima update, where I try to bring you news up to date as quickly as I can get it together about things concerning Fukushima and the disaster that happened last year, March 11th. We're well beyond a year since that has happened, but we're still seeing things turn up and things come out and secrets come out, things that were kind of held back from the public and other issues that have arisen but from the increased radiation and the reactors still not completely shut down. And so I wanted to look at a couple things real quick this week. The last video I pointed out a couple of food items, and as I do here on foodoffensive.com, focusing on the food mostly, but with these Fukushima updates, of course, I look at other things and health in general. And of course, when you have something like radiation, it's going to affect your food, you're going to affect your crops, it's going to affect your actual body, taking in the possible particles and then your thyroid being affected and things like that. But I wanted to look at two things in this particular video: the cars, of all things, being affected, and then children. Another kind of a sad note with the children of Fukushima and some things that they found with them in some recent articles I found. But first of all, I'm going to start out with the car issue, and it's an article from RT, and it says 300 radioactive Japanese cars stopped at Russian border. This was published on July 20th, 2012, and it shows a picture there in Russian, has a sign, and then it has the radioactive symbol there. And basically, it says customs officials have stopped 300 radioactive cars from getting into Russia from Japan since the Fukushima nuclear disaster last year, as part of an ongoing monitoring operation. And I have highlighted here, you can see on the screen, we have inspected 150,000 vehicles as part of this monitoring mission. 300 units that have been seized indicated a level of radioactivity, said Gennady Onishenko, the head of Russia's consumer rights watchdog. And then it goes on to say all imports from Japan, including food and consumer goods, are checked for radioactive contamination. So it's not just the cars they're looking at, but it's saying they found about 300 cars out of that 150,000. It's kind of a small amount percentage-wise, but nevertheless, it shows the fact that these things are getting through, things are being contaminated, and they're being passed on to other parts. And this gentleman of the Consumer Rights Watchdog group says he stressed that this is, quote, the first time we have encountered a contamination threat from another state. And the article kind of ends there, but basically just showing the fact that other countries are watching, they're watching the radiation coming from Japan and the products that are coming from there. And of course we want to support the Japanese farmers, support the Japanese industry, but at the same time, at what cost? At our own peril in some instances. So it's important to look at those things, and the fact that another government is looking at those things that are coming in. And I mean, is America doing any of that testing of things that are coming in, any products, any consumer goods that are being imported? I don't know. Not that I've seen. I haven't seen anything come out saying that we've rejected things because of that. I've just seen, like I showed in the last video, about the seaweed being highly contaminated, and the tuna being caught off the coast of California, and so on and so forth. But looking at the next article I wanted to cover, to make sure I have enough time, it's another article by RT. It's basically says over a third of Fukushima children at risk of developing cancer. And this was also put out July 20th of this year. It shows the kids there holding up signs petitioning to be helped from the radiation, basically. But here I have it highlighted. It says, just under the picture here, over a third of children in Japan's Fukushima region could be prone to cancer if medics don't apply more effort in treating their unusually overgrown thyroid glands and commit to international health aid and consultations, according to a new report. It says this shocking new report shows that nearly 36% of children in that area have abnormal thyroid growths. And that's an extremely large number of abnormalities, some of which experts say pose a risk of becoming cancerous. So some of which, I don't know how many that would really mean, but it's cause for alarm, not to scare anybody or not to create fear, but at the same time, we can't just turn our head and say, oh, it'll be okay, you know. It says after examining more than 38,000 children in the area, they found that more than 13,000 of them have cysts and nodules as large as 5 millimeters on their thyroid. So this is something that we really need to be aware of. It says this points out the fact that radiation enters the body and is distributed through soft tissue, especially in muscle, and then accumulates in the thyroid. It is this accumulation that can potentially lead to cancer. So it's an accumulative thing. If you get a little bit, okay, you might be okay. But if you accumulate a lot over time, and of course these children living in this area in a very close distance to this, it could be a very bad situation over time. And of course, with a lot of these things I've been covering concerning Fukushima, it is going to be a kind of a time will tell type thing, type scenario, which hopefully time will tell that everything's going to be okay. But until then, I'm watching everything that I can for my own health and trying to get the word out to others maybe that are over there or that are in danger of being contaminated by anything around Fukushima. But this article goes on. I'll point out a couple more things here. It says the World Health Organization warns that young people are particularly prone to radiation poisoning in the thyroid gland. Infants face the direst consequences as their cells divide at a higher rate. And so, they're quickly growing, and it could cause larger problems in infants. And we saw in America they were making a possible link to just months after Fukushima having the largest infant death rate here in America, and they're relating that to the Fukushima disaster, and I don't know where that is or where that process is right now, but they made quite the case for that. But moving along, it says it is also believed that some children were exposed to, quote, lifetime doses of radiation to their thyroid glands, says a report by Japan's Institute of Radiological Sciences. So lifetime doses, I'm assuming meaning the amount that they got in that short time would be what they would normally get over a lifetime. So that's extremely scary. And then it goes on to say how TEPCO officials and Japanese authorities have downplayed. They faced accusations of downplaying the real scale of the danger. And then of course, more highly radioactive ocean water could reach the U.S. coast, the west coast of the U.S. in the next 5 years. We've already seen the effects of some of the seaweed off the coast, the tuna that have swam across the ocean, across the Pacific and being caught off the coast of California, being contaminated with that. So something to be aware of for sure. And like I said, not to instill fear or to even say that this is going to be this is really going to be as bad as they say. I certainly hope that they're wrong, and I hope that I am wrong in this situation. I really do. But it's only time will tell, like I said, and it's just sad to see what has already happened and what could happen as a result of this if we don't do something to quickly clean up that area, to get people away from there, to point out the fact that people are, like I looked at in the last video, that a store owner far south from there is being, ridiculed and facing arrest for not wanting to sell produce from that area. And they're putting out campaigns with music stars, Japanese music stars, saying, support the area, eat food from there. I mean, that's just terrible. Not only are you saying, well, be aware. They're not only are they not saying, well, be aware of this problem, they're saying, go out and do it. Go out and eat it, please. So this is something that we need to look at, something that we need to really be aware of. So I'm going to cover a really major issue concerning Fukushima and the cover-up that's going on there in the next video. So until next time, this is foodoffensive.com's Fukushima Weekly Update. And until next time, thank you for joining me.